Kaboom, kablam, kaboom. Ah. Rest in peace, my granny. She got hit by the bazooka. Kaboom, kablam, kaboom. Rest in peace, my we'll get to that in a day. This is a theme song for the channel message. Because, yo, that song have been trending everywhere on social media. And I've been trying to avoid that song because I'm just like, all right. So back to it. If you really been watching me on this platform or YouTube previously, a few years ago, let's say around 2020 to 2022, there was this trending song that was on. Ooh. God wants me to do this message next. All right. There's this trending song that was on TikTok. You can't find it anymore. Trust me, I have tried. Unless you know the artist's specific artist name, I don't remember that person because like it was a trending song on YouTube. But like I like the song so much that I had went to find that artist's name in the year somewhere between 2020 to 2022. I even did like videos to it, but like because it was so much previously, not now, spiritual warfare is like I me not knowing, just doing silly like content previously, I didn't know that the person involved in regards to previously creating spiritual warfare didn't want me to do that content. So like there was this thing previously a few years back where the person didn't want me to have, the person didn't want me to do, this person didn't want me to go places, this person, because everything I was doing was basically putting them on blast, putting them like pun intended, but putting them on blast was exposing them. The year of 2026, in regards to enemies, is they're being exposed, like locally, globally, nationally, internationally. I'm telling you, that's one of the prayer points for the year. Excuse me, I'm looking for a specific message because I kept a specific message because I was contemplating whether I was going to do it or not, because it was more of like a significant message for me. So I didn't think it had anything to do with what it gotta be one of these. I didn't think it had anything to do with me coming out here and doing a public message for everybody because I wanted to be, what's the word? I wanted to be mindful of the people being messaged in the message. I thought it was just a personal message for myself, but obviously the reason why I bring up this previous song, I'm gonna tell you what the previous song was, right? The previous song that was trending on TikTok around 2020 to 2022, around that time frame, I don't know what the name of the song is. It was this urban rapper, SoundCloud rapper. He was like, the song, I'm gonna narrate what the song we talked about before I tried to even sing it because a long time ago I can't really remember it. Basically the song was talking about a hoodlum, a hood ninja, a hoodster. These hoodlum male folks, probably in gangs and whatnot, take the message out, resonate. And this guy who lived the street life, he was narrating in the song that he was about that street life, and he had a gun. Now, before I get to that, there was this you can't you that's a wonderful question. That's actually a wonderful question. You're asking why the poster is the way it is. Hold on. Let me see if I can do something so that it doesn't look so dim, like how the enemy life is looking. It's a little better. It's a little better. I also told you I was gonna come back and tell y'all updated message in regards to it looking like I have a black eye, didn't get into no physical altercation, and the thing that was on my leg. We're gonna talk about that today also. Oh, you say it looks better? Thank you, Ghost Pods. Now, one thing at a time. So, basically, I seen this video recently of this hoodlum, this hoodster, this guy in the urban environment, probably gang related, and his mother, basically same narration. His mother, while he was not home, found a gun in possession of him and his own belongings, and took that same gun to a police department precinct. Now, that young man, that male child of that woman, was like in tears, crying, like on the floor, fetal position, acting a fool, with good reason, honestly. Because you never really would think, use common sense. You never really think. I'm not saying the mother was wrong for getting rid of that type of weapon in her own household. I'm not saying the mother was wrong for trying to do the right thing, but to take to your child, you don't know what, you didn't have no prior conversation with that child in this viral video that I had seen previously in the year 2025 on TikTok. The woman actually was the one recording her child after finding the gun, waited for the child to come back home after taking that same gun that was in that her child had owned in her own house and took it to the precinct. It don't take a rocket scientist. It's not brain scientist. You can do the right thing in regards to your children. But when what you consider the right thing puts your child in harm's way, then it then comes into the morality of things. Because not only because there's a issue in regards to social media and these parents that be trying to embarrass their children on social media. We see it time and time again. This woman was recording on live the interaction in regards to her and her male son finding out that she took his gun to the precinct. You don't know what in that narration of the story, you don't know what that child had did with that gun. It could have been bodies on that gun. She still took it to the precinct with her son's fingerprints, and whatever happened, that scenario happened. Now, in correlation to the song I was talking about, there was a song that was trending that I had to take down all the content based on it, and I can't even find that artist's name. So, but the song basically was narrating, basically when he was young, this rapper was saying he had a gun, and his mom tried to take the gun away from him. And like, it's a rap song, so it was very like, rap is really like so the rap song was talking like, he was like, when I was something, son of my mama tried to take my pistol. He was like in the part of the song, and like basically he was like, my mama tried. He said, when I was something years old, my mama tried to take my pistol, and then he stopped the song, like the music had stopped, and he got real serious. He's like, you want me to fucking die? So I shot my mom. No, it was his mother or his grandmother. I don't remember what narration. But he was like, when I was something years old, my mama tried to take my pistol. He got real quiet, real serious. He was like, you want me to fucking die? So I shot my grandma. So I slapped he said slap or shot, I don't know, granny right up down the eye, told her not to fuck with me, so I consider her a op. Nah, I got the drop. No, he was talking about his mother. All right, boom. So in the song, somewhere in between the year 2020 and 2022, there was this underground rapper did this song. It was trending all over TikTok before like certain laws had to come in place. So like you might not be able to find it unless you like really know the artist. He said, when I was 9 years old, my mama tried to take my pistol. Something he like, when I was 9 years old, my mama tried to take my pistol. And he was like, he got real serious. He's like, you want me to fucking die? So I shot my mama right inside the eye. No, not I shot my mama right upside the eye. I told her not to fuck with me. Now I consider her a eye. Nah, I got the drop on where your fucking mama stay. That was, you thought that, he said his mama tried to take his pistol. He said that he asked a really valid question because you don't know why the man even had the pistol, even though that being your child. You don't want to go into he's a rapper at the, whether it SoundCloud rapper or not. I don't know, because some people be faking the lifestyle, some people be living the lifestyle. You know what I mean? But howsoever, that was a valid question. You want me to die? You don't know why that young man had a gun. You didn't talk to him nothing, whether she tried to take the gun. So he was like, you want me to fucking die? So he said, so I saw my mama right upside the eye, told her not to fuck with me. Now I just consider her a op. Now in regard to hood politics. Like, there's accuracy in that. Like, because, like, usually when young men join gangs, there's been a lot of gang correlation in regards to channel messages I've been receiving, but I didn't know whether I wanted to talk about it. Maybe for another day. But in regards to gangs, usually young men join gangs when they feel as though they don't have a structure in their family unit. They don't have any family, nobody to rely on, nobody understands them. That's when they usually join the gangs at early age. So, or usually for protection, because of the environment that they're in outside the home. So, when he was like, you want me to die? so I slapped my mama right upside the eye. It's like, in that narration, it's like, all right, he already made a family outside of just narrating from the song. He already made a family outside of his biological family that gave him protection. That protection with the gun, and that his mother, his own biological mother, that he couldn't go for whatever reason for the protection, was trying to take his protection away. I'm symbolically speaking to y'all right now. So it's like, you want me to fucking die? So it's like, that's like, and like symbolizing basically channel message. Like, somebody is supposed to be your relative, literally trying to put you in harm's way, thinking they're doing something good for you. No, didn't ask you, no consent. They probably mean good, maybe not. Take the message how it resonates. Not put in consideration the reason as to why you're pursuing something, you're doing something, and why they couldn't even come to you for help in the first place. Because if they really could have helped, a conversation would have been had and initiated by that same child. So the song keeps going on narrates. He's like, so I slapped my mama in the fucking eye, told her not to fuck with me. Now I consider you a op. Now I got the drop on where your fucking granny stay. When I heard that part of the song, I was like, yo, he is. You know how mad you gotta be to write lyrics down, even or freestyle, get in the booth, do a rap diss to your own mama, and include her own mama in this rap. And then he's like, he said he slapped his mama in the eye. He considered her a op. Then he was like, nah, I got that drop on where your fucking. He's like, on where your fucking granny stay, on where your mama stay. Yo, that's still considered his grandma. So it's something in regards to the mother's side, in regards to lineage and generational circumstances going on. Because I told y'all in these channel messages, it was one time there was some weird shit going on, even in regards to some years I just mentioned of 2020 to 2022. There was some weird shit going on in regards to previously me and my siblings that was like, we knew it was something spiritual going on. So we asking questions. We like, what's going on? The parental figure's like, You're like, all right. So I had got fed up one day. I was so mad. This is just an example. I had got so mad. And I started prophesying, and I started not necessarily yelling. I started saying like, I was just saying like I was tired of the spiritual attacks, in regards to the correlation of those years. And I was like, I'm like, God, bring the person. I'm like, if it's a spirit that they're using, bring the person in the form of a body, as a vessel. I want to beat them up. I'm ready to beat them up. My mother came. She's like, no, don't say that. Please don't say that. Got on her knees and would put her hands up to the sky. What? I was like, yo, in that moment, I was a little bit confused. Cause I'm like, why are you begging for mercy and telling me not to say my enemy's supposed to get beat the fuck up? Are you dumb? So, like, I kind of looked at her side eye from that day, like, So, back to the song, right? He said, I know, he's like, so I saw my mama in the fucking eye, told her not to fuck with me, now I consider her or not. Now I got the drop on where your fucking granny stay. I don't care about no, he's like, I don't care about no broad, I don't care about no something, I shoot that. But he said that he didn't care about something, he shoot that hole in broad day. I'm like, so it's something like, somebody did something. Whether for good or bad intent in regards to you, and it's a relative on your maternal mother figure side, in regards to ancestry, lineage, generation in your family. Someone thought they were doing something to help you or benefit you in some sort of way. But whatever they were trying to do, directly or indirectly, whether they knew or not, actually put you in harm's way, previously. And you found out about it. And it could have probably upset you, could have made you mad, could have made some people, even in certain scenarios, want to act violent. God forbid my life. I'm not going back there because that's a story time for that day. And it's like, symbolically, it's like something about that maternal mother side, a mother figure side of the family. Something about a possible previous generational curse. You could be the generational curse breaker. I receive it. I've seen it time and time again in my life. where I'm the generational curse breaker. Them curses don't affect me. They don't harm me. I supersede past those and then demolish them. So it's like, it might not even be you, like your maternal mother figure. Let's say there was a generational curse that started from your grandma or your great great grandma, and then you figure out where the source of the curse started, and then make you like, it's gonna make you be like, what the, like granny. And all right, so now the reason why I even mentioned that previous song is because it's so interesting, because like that song I heard in regards to 2020 to 2022 around that time frame with the rapper, he was doing that song that I just narrated. And rap is like real aggressive, and then the fact like what he was saying. Hugh Janus 5 saying that they're watching my video because they're trying to figure out what color my hair is. Beauty, my miracle, my blessings. That's the color of it, of 2026. Now, you said looking silver. Silver would have been nice, but I found something better. It's incorporated in the hair though, so you're not necessarily wrong. Hold on, because I was just going off because that used to be my song. Like, that used to be my song. I have found the SoundCloud rapper and everything. Now it's so ironic. Now on TikTok and other streaming platforms, and let me not say streaming platforms, other social media apps, there's this new grandma song out. But instead of it being rap, it's like R&B. It's like R&B rap or something like that. Like, rest in peace, my grandma, she got hit with a bazooka. Every time I hit the hookah, kaboom, kablam, kaboom. And you know, I feel as though from hearing that original song, I don't even know if that's the same person, but from hearing that original rap song that was like real aggressive to now hearing the R&B song and it's like more generalized, I feel like it has a better effect. And when God showed me that song before it like really went like trending viral, I was trying not to listen to it because I was like, not that necessarily I don't want to offend. I don't want to, bring a certain energy to me and what I got going on. Like, I ain't a grandmama now, but I'm just saying, like, I was being considerate of the grandmamas around me. I ain't want to listen to the song. I was being considerate about the grandmamas around me because in my mind, I was trying to figure out was same exact reason as the first time I heard that other grandma song was in regards to what is the intent of the song. Obviously, it was saying, he's like, rest in peace, my grandma, she got hit with a bazooka. Man, I think about it every time I hit the hookah. Kaboom, kaboom, kaboom. Something about the Kabbalah is very significant. Howsoever, maybe it's having to do with like the religion or mindset of somebody's maternal mother figure. Now, so it's quite interesting. That song, I was trying to figure out the intent of why the artist made the song. Not because the song is good. It's very trendy. Kaboom, kaboom, kaboom. Like, it's very trendy. Howsoever, I didn't want to listen to a song where the enemy is using somebody as a vessel, and I didn't know if God was necessarily using that person to convey a message, because that song is like trending right now. Like, so I didn't want to really get into it until today. Now God gave me confirmation I can listen to the song. There's nothing wrong with the song, because I was even talking about this even yesterday. I was talking to God about that song because it keep coming up on my For You page, and I'm like, for that song to be trending right now, and all the people who are watching that song must mean that globally, nationally, internationally, however you want to say it, there's something in regards to mother figures right now. Maternal mother figures, specifically the grandma edition. It's something they was doing in their time that was trying to disrupt the newer generation. And perceived from that song is that, and it wasn't even a female, it was a man. It was a man singing that song. So it's like the men are now, no, it's not everybody, but there's a specific group of men who have a grandmama generation in their lineage from the maternal mother side who are fed up by the actions of their grandmamas and what they try to directly, indirectly pass on to them down as a generational curse. So that's what I perceive from the song. So that's why I was like, that's a theme song with a message. It took 20 minutes just to narrate that. Now let's get to the message. So before I say anything, let's get to So I woke up today and I started getting mad at my ex. Not speaking to my ex. Haven't seen my ex. Don't speak to my ex. Nothing. Woke up this morning, found out like my ex, he's a Pisces, was astral projecting to me or dreaming about me, something like that, and it was making me mad because I'm just like, in regards to that person, that used to be like one of my favorite. I used to say that was one of my favorite exes. I don't, God forbid, all my life, I don't want to have a favorite ex anymore. Like, because I feel like that's like an entryway to give somebody leniency in the spiritual, and I'm not doing it no more. Because for someone to, there's a more to this message. For someone, now, all right, before I get to that, for the previous week or so, I have been getting confirmation after confirmation after confirmation in regards to a particular ex or exes of mine. One was a Pisces. The Pisces was most prominent, and the other one was a Capricorn ex that I have. Not going back to the past. Do I talk to either one of them? No. Do they reach out to me? No. Do I know them to still see or view any of my content? Yes. I've been having dreams about my ex. The Pisces in specific. That Capricorn, he don't even believe in God, so there's no way for that person to come in contact with me. Now, I was getting so mad because I kept getting confirmation about this ex-lover of mine, and it's just like, yo, I don't even talk to you. We don't even speak. We don't even got each other on social media. Why? So I was really going off talking to God more. I'm like, yo, why he keep popping up in my subconscious? I'm not guilty about shit. I'm not thinking about this person. I know when someone is trying to, like, come into my energy. Now, the first way I realized that the person was coming into my energy, my ex, the Pisces, would get on fake pages or on his own social media content, come onto my social medias, and then I'll be alerted in the dream state. Do you know how much other better things I can dream about than seeing some shit like that? Someone I don't even talk to, someone I don't necessarily have meaningful conversations with. What is the reason to, rhetorical question, what would be the reason for you to even come in my dream state when I could be dreaming about much better shit? That is why I was so mad. I was so mad in the morning. Well, I wasn't even mad. I felt the projection of I'm supposed to be mad. So I was like, God. So when I was like, God, is there something that I didn't know about while previously dating or knowing this person the previous 10 years and plus that I'm supposed to be mad about, but I don't know about, so I'm not mad? And God literally was like, confirmation. I'm like, dang. I'm like, that's why, if you ever wonder, and I'm not just talking about exes, I'm talking generally. When you stop fucking with people and they start coming up in your dream state and you're confused as to why they keep coming up in your dream state, you don't talk to them, you're not on the best terms with them, nothing like that, because them people are still thinking about how they was doing you wrong and how that affected their life. God even taught me something about one of my gifts in regards to that. So I'm like, wow. As soon as I called the shit out, as soon as I talked to God about it, that astral projection of that person left. Like, it's like this person, I don't know if they was having like wet dreams or whatever the case about me. And the thing is, this person would even be trying to have wet dreams about me, and then it will correlate to some sort of variation of dryness. I'm like, bitch, do I look dry, ho? Like, take that dry shit somewhere the fuck else. Like, in regards to hydromancy, sex magic, sex work. Not sex work and like prostitution. I'm talking about sex magic in regards to hydromancy. We don't do prostitution over here. So like, in regards to that, especially being a celebrity of any sort, you're gonna feel or have the notion of, you know, people sexualizing you, lusting over you, and things of that sort, especially if you're in the career field or knowledgeable about sex magic. And if you're like an influencer, a celebrity of some sort, on a bigger scale, you're gonna know how to pick up on those things, and it is your decision alone if you want to partake in knowing who or feeling of any sexual connotation into someone lusting after after you, whether you are single or you have your own sexual partner outside of the relationship. All right. So when I knew, so when I correlated, it was an ex coming towards me, and then they was doing sex magic, or they was a variation of it. They have a sex dream, or they were thinking about me sexually, and it correlated to dryness. I rebuked it instantly. I don't got time for this shit. I don't got time for this shit. And the only reason the person was mad because I was working with somebody else. I had to pull cards in regards to this shit. This shit made me so mad. I had to pull cards because I'm just like, why is this ex thinking about me sexually and mad at the same time? Who gets sexual aroused by being mad? That's an indication of someone you don't want to even be sexually active with. I'm like, oh no, I don't got time for that shit. I pull cards. So something about the person, you might have an ex lover who is jealous of who you're doing business with, or who you're dating, or the fact they can't sex you no more. And it's like, in regards to all the type of characteristics of people I just mentioned, there's something about like they might have all prominent placements that's similar, and it's like your ex is like the low vibe, the low connotation of the zodiac sign embodiment, and then like the people you're dealing with now are like exuding the actual prominent placement, and that's why that person is jealous, envious, or howsoever. Take the message how it resonates for that, because X is the embodiment of Pisces. Pisces in regards to the past, though, not the present, not the future. So let's get into this message, right? So where to begin? Where to begin? This message correlates with the previous channel message I did with who's the Lion Witch? Is it the Aries or the Scorpio? We learned from that message the Lion Witch is the Aries, not the Scorpio. Alright? Take that message how it resonates for you, because I understand how it resonates for myself. For the previous 6 months, you can see it's healing up now in comparison to the other message, but you still see what's going on here. Still healing up, still in my healing process. I'm under the hypostasis of 2 men of God in ministries. That was one of the first steps in regards to the healing process, because I learned that whether an ex, a friend, a lover, relative, excuse me, issue for one of them or a collection of them, take the message out of resonates. There's something called hypostasis. I just learned this word. Hypostasis is the authority that somebody has. Like the hypostasis, in regards to authority that I'm under, would be of God, and the correlation to hypostasis would be the woman of God or the man of God I subscribe to, and I subscribe to 2 men of God. So under that hypostasis, I would not be persuaded or confused or any type of narration or variation of opposite of what I learned under their hypostasis. I was even told in a lesson in regards to hypostasis that your ex lover can be someone, if they are, I want to use the right terminology, abusive in beliefs, thoughts, or controlling, could make you believe that you're under their hypostasis and you're not. It's only if you choose to, because it was something they said, it was something the man of God was saying in regards to how does how could your ex or somebody make you cry? Because the only reason you will cry because you're under their hypostasis, because you believe what they're saying, or to make you enough to want to cry. If you are under God, if God don't want you to cry, if God don't want you to be sad, how can you let another person and their authority make you, you know what I'm saying? So like, it's just like, when I learned that, I'm like, oh great. Now, Saturday, December 27, 2025 at 11:58 a.m. at 86% is when this message was made and curated in regards to Capricorn, Pisces, Sagittarius, and Aquarius zodiac embodiment. In regards to karma, Sagittarius embodiment appearing to travel. In regards to undoing enemies, value, and self-worth. in regards to luck and expansion, partnership and or partnerships, in regards to prediction, significant changes, dream in regards to dream life, Oshan is mentioned, something in regards to abundance reincarnation, a miracle in the form of a blessing is coming in now. Something about a uncle, a godfather, a aunt, a non-relative uncle, business partner to a father figure yours. Aquarius, Libra, Virgo, zodiac sign, very significant. Another uncle, Cancer zodiac embodiment. Something about Sunday. Something about church. Something about Leo. Something about a relative, a deceased relative, and an inheritance. Something about bank fraud. And I wrote in my notes, I call my energy back in full. Now, like I said, I did this message for myself because I was trying to have more understanding into a scenario that I kind of knew about, but God wanted to give me more information about it, but God said I could talk about it because it can correlate some way with the general collective that I have on this platform of YouTube. So, where should we begin? All right. I learned a cool trick via God in regards to tips a hit in regards to your significant other. Now, God was telling me, because for a long time I never really knew the significance of having godparents. I have two godparents, male and female, obviously, that I have not spoken to since I was a young child or possibly a teenager. As of recently, previously in the year 2025, I went to my maternal mother figure and I said, what happened to my godparents? Because I would see other people and how their godparents treat them. Almost like to like a grandparent figure in their life. But growing up, I really didn't get to understand what a godparent was because I was never around my godparents for real. I would see them once out of multiple years. And that really, and I seen how that translated into my own life as being a mother myself. So I was trying to figure out, like, what is the significance of godparents? I asked my maternal mother where my godparents was. She told me I didn't have godparents. This is somebody who told me and brought me to my godparents once before, more than once before. So to tell me I don't have godparents, but you told me already that I had godparents, you're a liar. Just be truthful and say you don't fuck with them people no more. So then that brings up the question, why you don't fuck with them people no more? See, my mother is an Aries. Why there's not nothing wrong with every Aries in the world? We know evolved Aries. You know, Aries is evolved when they own their own business. They're a business person, a successful business person like that. Unevolved Aries causes chaos and destruction. This Aries told me I had godparents, my maternal mother figure. Then, as I got older, a young adult told me I don't have godparents. You're a liar. That I know to be true. So the question then became, why don't I have godparents anymore? Obviously, because you don't fuck with them people. But there's more to the story. So let me tell you briefly about my two godparents. First and foremost, my female godmother, I don't know if she's on my father or mother's side of the family. I believe she's like cousins with my mother's side of the family. Two family household. Excuse me. Has children, athletics, doctor. One is interracially dating. One has just got married previously, not too long ago. Didn't even know if I was even able to go to the wedding because supposedly I don't have godparents. But it's alright, I will attend my own wedding. Howsoever, These is godparents we used to travel to go to their home. They used to live in New York, then they moved to another state nearby. And what I learned, God was narrating to me. He was like, remember where they used to live and where they live now. In regards to my business, I have a lot of business deals in regards to New York. In regards to my love life, the actual place where my female godmother lives in, with her family, correlates to my love life. Successful family, successful suburban area. But I don't have godparents. Because supposedly, assuming my area maternal mother figure don't fuck with them people no more. People with affluence. But she's an Aries. Are you following along? Now, my male godparent is my father's brother. You wanna know what his name is? Michael. You can take that how that resonates. We know Michael's name is in the Bible. Now, I have met and been around my male godfather, to my recollection, of 3 prominent scenarios 3 times. The first time was at my first birthday party, when he was previously married through interracial dating. Follow along. The second time I met my uncle was when I was very young, small child, and he had came to the United States. Well, I guess he would travel to and from. He was in the United States of America, and he lived in New York. And some way, somehow, he convinced my parents. Mind you, I have very strict parents that would not let their children. Well, I would say they would not let their children be unattended without them in another state. I'll say that, unattended. Some way, somehow, my parents and my godfather some way orchestrated like a play date. He didn't have kids available to him at that time. Action required. The message I just got saying something about there's some money still left over. Say the message I read it. Now, somehow they did this play date for just so we can have like this bonding activity with my godfather, who's actually my uncle. Me and my other sibling. And he took us to the Bronx Zoo, I believe. Very wonderful experience. They had little animals running around throughout the zoo. And I never forgot that day. It was one interesting moment. I'll just do a quick story time. It was one interesting moment that day when he brought us back from the zoo. We went to his house, and he was trying to find ways of like interacting with us, finding things in common from an uncle to a child's perspective. And he had this abacus. And I took a really good liking to the abacus, so I was playing with the abacus. I cannot tell you or remember what I said to that man, but I thought in my mind then I said something that was offensive, but I didn't know, because as a child, we're ignorant to certain things. And when I said what I said, he paused, he got quiet, and he had like a "That's So Raven" moment, it looked like. And I was just looking, I was a little nervous, because like the energy, even then as a young child, because I've always been prophesied to be a prophetess, I knew in that moment something I said had somewhat offended him. But howsoever, it wasn't nothing necessarily about me and what I said. It was like what I said in specific that correlated to him in his life in some sort of way that it made him just. And then it's like I could feel like he was angry about something, but like he didn't want to take it out on me or my sibling, because it didn't necessarily have anything to do with us. It's just I mentioned something that could have just upset him. Now, outside of that context, the only other time I had seen something of that "That's So Raven" moment with a man or heard about it is when I went to school, when I went to high school. I had a upperclassman colleague of mine that had a military family, and she told me that there's a specific bell that a lot of people in the military know of, and when the bell rings, everybody just is like shook, like it's like they freeze. Like it's I don't think the bell has a good connotation of it, but she was telling me that like even though her relative, I think it was her father figure, is not in the military anymore, is now a veteran. Whenever he hear like certain church bells or certain bells alike to that same bell, he just stop. Like he just freezes. It's like complete shock, and he just like it's like that way for a couple moments or minutes or something like that. And I was just like, whoa. Now that's significant for however some reason. So now what I know about bells, there's different variation of bells, but bells can be used in rituals, specifically death rituals. Now, what happened to that godfather that was doing that nice thing, came to my first birthday party? Why I don't have a godfather now? Sorry, Godfather, I'm not trying to put you on blast. Because recently, like within the last 2 years, I tried to communicate with him to see if like he remembered me, he want to talk to me via social media. He will not talk to me previously. So that just let me know that something in regards to my parental figures isn't exactly right. So he didn't feel necessary to talk to me. So I was just like, so it's not necessarily something I did. It's something they did, and I'm just. So whatever relationship my maternal mother figure or father figure has with these godparents of mine is the reason why they don't feel like they could be a part of my life. So indirectly, the parental figures tried to discredit me of having godparents. Almost a form of isolation. But the real question is why? So, the third time I see my uncle is when we traveled. We went back home to Africa to go view it. I went there previously twice. On the first trip there, we met my godfather, and he owned or owns a large chicken farm in Africa. He took us to the chicken farm. We got to see how the company was. It was a very intellectual and really good experience, especially as a child. And just to know, my uncle owns a whole chicken farm. That's not something small. Now, don't know where my uncle's at. Don't know where my godfather's at. Haven't seen him since the chicken farm experience. Now, I'll tell you what I know about my uncle that I no longer speak with. I don't think it makes a difference to talk about it. I'm not trying to put him on blast or anything like that. But there's a correlation to this. Well, I know through narration from what my parents said is that my godfather, so mind you, by the time I was young and adolescent and he took us to that trip in New York, he was no longer married. At my first birthday party, he was married to a Caucasian lady. They had 2 children together. The Caucasian lady, for whatever reason, took those 2 children without his consent, without prior notice, and disappeared into the UK. After that, my uncle went to go live in Africa and has a chicken farm. Now, from what I've seen or heard of, my uncle never really got them children back, but he made a new family of his own and has 2 new children. So something like, from my narration, when I heard that, I was like, somebody did something to him. I know for a fact, because that's just weird. Howsoever, because he lost 2 kids in a marriage. Howsoever, when he restarted his life, he got a new marriage and 2 new kids. Now, what I found interesting is that, so I did some research because that chicken farm always fascinated me. So I was like, what's going on with the chicken farm? My uncle still got that chicken farm. Where's it at? Like, I look up the, I do research. I do research. I do research in regards of the chicken farm. And to my surprise, there's a new owner. You wanna know who the new owner of the chicken farm is? So, in adolescence, while not having a godfather, usually in minority countries, they call people uncle or auntie, even if you're not related to them. So I have an uncle auntie that's non-relative to me. So we grew up with their children and adolescents. To this day, we're still pretty good like acquaintances, friends, and stuff like that. Now, not to put their family on blast, but they had a scenario where the father figure of their family left the family and went to Africa, um, just randomly out of nowhere. Kind of like how my godfather, my uncle's Caucasian wife left and took the children, but in this scenario, they didn't. The father didn't take the children; he just left them, the whole family. When I see stuff like that now, because I've seen certain scenarios like that growing up in other people's families, I knew something spiritually is not right. Why is this scenario about this non-relative family so significant? Because that father that ran off to Africa now owns my godfather, my uncle's chicken farm. How did y'all get there? How did somebody who's not even in the country of America even come in contact with someone that my family in America knows of that's not relative to us? So that meaning, in regards to my parental figures, and this non-relative man that ran off on their family, they somehow, there was some sort of business that happened for them to take my uncle's inheritance of the chicken farm. In my mind, I'm like, no shade, not to be greedy, nothing like that. That's my uncle. So my uncle will pass on the chicken farm to somebody who's not a relative to him, but to a non-relative through the only knowing or not knowing that the only person they would have in common would be my father figure. That don't sound right, right? Hello, Dixie Norman 9 in the comment section. Why would my godfather, my uncle, blood related, go out his way to not pass down such an inheritance to not his children, to not his blood relative, but to a stranger who is not a stranger to his relatives? That sounds petty, don't it? That sounds like somebody in the family did something to him, don't it? That sounds like a real reason as not a good reason, but that sounds like a good motive as to why I don't have a godfather anymore, right? That sounds like a good motive as to why my godfather don't want to speak to me, right? Previously, right? Dixie Norman 9 in the comment section says right. Mind you, this is all in context. This is all allegedly, hypothetically, with true, actual, factual facts. God is saying correct. So, today what we're going to do is, we're going to look at my maternal mother side of the family. Because one thing about my family upbringing, I'm a first generation American. I'm a first generation Nigerian American. Meaning that entirely I am Nigerian in birthright from both my mother and father. There is no mixed breeding beside being mulatto. But I am the first in my parents' family to be born in America and the firstborn. my parents are also the first in their family, out of their siblings, to live in America. Not one, to my knowledge, of my parents' siblings have came to America. In fact, when my parents married, they both came to America right afterwards, meaning that they did not want to continue their marriage in Africa. I always wondered, why would two people with very large families, prominent families, the eldest, my mother, the eldest of, well, by technicality, because of a previous death of one of her siblings, is the eldest female sibling of her siblings. My father is the eldest child of all his siblings. In my country of Nigeria, there is something in regards to legality, excuse me, in regards to inheritance claims for the eldest children. In regards to the eldest children, oh, no problem. In regards to the eldest children, they're entitled compensation. They're entitled land ownership. They're entitled a lot of shit. So why would I'm just saying, I'm not answering the question. I'm just saying, now, why would you want to escape? Why would you want to travel miles, thousands of miles away, and go to America and leave all that behind? Not necessarily. My father does own his share of his inheritance. And what I'm saying in the family is that inheritance, although in regards to legality is valid, while he's living in America, it's been this weird scenario with siblings, even on my mother's side, in regards to ownership of the inheritance, although they don't currently live in Africa. So, call it petty, but like the siblings feel as though because they don't live in Africa, they should have the claim while they're still living there, but that does not denote the fact of the legality of them being the eldest. Dixie Norman 9 says right in the comment section. But you know how those things go. For example, I haven't gone through it. I have seen people in different circumstances and scenarios in regards to within death in the family, for example, in the United States of America, where, not me, but where someone in the family dies, there's a life insurance policy. The family argues about who gets what money. It's something alike to that in regards to, like, in the sense of, like, the siblings being petty about something they don't even rightfully own. And what we know about human beings is that not all human beings, but human beings have a certain type of nature to them in regards to jealousy and envy, where you don't exactly will always know the extent of what somebody will try to do to gain what you rightfully own and have. And we see this in so many different types of scenarios. Not me, God forbid. So let's talk about, because we're talking about grandmama, breaking generational curses. We're talking about the mother side of lineage, how it affects the men in that narration of the family. That is the channel message within the channel message of this right here that I'm talking about. I don't particularly like to have to use my family members that I don't really know like that, or have the best relationship with and stuff like that. Not saying it's a bad relationship. I just don't know them like that. I didn't grow up over there in Africa. I met them like once or twice, and that's if I even met them the first time or the second time. But God is saying it's alright. I can use this analogy because me narrating it this way will help y'all learn what I'm trying to say. So, on my mother's side of the family, and we're gonna incorporate the deceased sibling she also has also. Besides my mother, who's the Aries, there are four other siblings that she has or had. Let's talk about the men. The eldest sibling is my uncle, who is a Cancer zodiac placement, sun sign. My other uncle is very interesting. If you listen to a lot of the chat messages I've done recently, coming to from 2025 to 2026, I kept saying I had these dreams where I would see like my non-relative cousins. I have a cousin named Victor, but he's not my actual biological cousin. And I kept seeing him in the dream state. Kept seeing him in the dream state. I'm thinking it's just correlating to him, but it didn't occur to me until Christmas that I have an uncle named Victor, which is the second male-born son, or the first. I always got confused with that one because they don't talk about my uncle Victor like that. What I also know is that my mother is light, fair skin complexion. Her sisters are light skin, fair skin complexion. My uncle is light skin, fair skin complexion. That Uncle Victor is very, very melanated. Now, in my culture, they were, I don't know if they still do, but they were into polygamy. All right, so they're able to have more than one wife. So that would explain why my Uncle Victor is melanated and the rest of the family is not. I didn't really hear much about Uncle Victor growing up. They said good things about him. Howsoever, they never said nothing. Like they were like, oh, like the good things they say about him, like, oh, he's a good guy. That's about it. And come from my mother, I don't know if I can say that. I take that with a grain of salt. That I do not look back on. Now, who is deemed the eldest son is my uncle, who's the Cancer zodiac sign placement. That's the man that they go to for money, ultimately. Previously. And he married somebody that the family didn't approve of. Correlating back to that chat message, who's lying, the Aries or the Scorpio witch. My aunt is a Scorpio. That's married to my blood relative, my uncle with the Cancer zodiac placement. 2 water signs. In regards to the occult, those are 2 prominent zodiac sign environments. Follow along. Mind you, my uncle, sister, who is my mother, is an Aries. You follow along with these prominent placements? So like I said, the family supposedly did not approve of my uncle, the eldest one, marrying the Scorpio. Now what I will say about the Scorpio is the Scorpio allows the Cancer's uncle to do his own business, have his own properties and businesses, and she has her own here in America. She ain't never been lackadaisical. Never. My aunt had taught me things that my own mother couldn't, due to her own capabilities. Quite different in people. I would even go to the extent of saying my Scorpio aunt is more of an Aries than my mother is, not knowing her birth chart. Now, you want to know something weird about my aunt? Not necessarily weird about her. Growing up to this day, we call my aunt mom. We had to call my biological mother mommy, and we had to call my aunt mom. Why would you let... Mind you, I said in that previous message that my biological mother, the Aries, does not like my aunt. I've said in the previous message that my biological mother, the Aries, has called the Scorpio a witch. I've said these things. Why would you let someone that you consider a witch and you don't like, why would you let your children call them mother? You can go listen to that previous message if you want more insight on that. But I'm just saying, I'm right. It don't make sense. Now, my aunt couldn't have children. I wouldn't know that in adolescence. I even talked to God about it. I'm like, so where did that nickname mom come from? Because I was talking to God about it. God was like, maybe when I was like a baby or a toddler, I could have like, call her mom, just like being ignorant. And because I kept calling her that by nickname, it just like all the other siblings followed suit. So I'm like, oh, that makes sense. Because I'm like, but in regard to parenting, you don't like someone, you don't think that they're supposed to be good for your kid, this and the third. You allowing them to call them mother? Don't sound accurate. Now, I never rated my uncle. My uncle was the eldest out of my mother's siblings. The Cancer Zodiac. We know that they have a brother named Victor. What I know about this Victor guy, my uncle, that they don't really talk about besides saying, oh, he's a good guy, is that, oh, wait, hold on. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. My mother got 5 other has 5 other relatives in regard to siblings. I forgot one person. All right, excuse me. Victor, not knowing what he was doing early on in life, I know now he's an evangelist in regards to a church setting. Now, while I also was talking to God about around Christmas, I'm like, all right, my mother's side of the family has a very strong spiritual background. In regards to the maternal figures, not only my grandmother, but my great-great-grandmother, they made their own church over in Africa. Very prominent church leaders. That's why, majority of the reason why I have the spiritual gifts I have now. So thank you, Grandma Moss. To a certain extent, because I don't know what the fuck you doing with my now. So now, later in life, my uncle that I don't really know much about. What I do know about him is that he's an evangelist. Now, there's nothing wrong with men being in the church. Nothing wrong with my uncle being an evangelist. The thing is that I was talking to God about. I'm like, if my uncle has a church that he's a prominent leader in Africa, why are my parental figures going to other churches in Africa? Wouldn't that imply that you either don't believe in that uncle's spiritual belief, you don't believe in his church, you don't believe that he's actually doing of God? Alright. Now, I'm not saying it's true or not true. Only God knows, and it's going to get handled with good results. Now, what I perceive to be the youngest male child out of my mother's side of the siblings is my uncle. I don't know his zodiac, but what I know is I met him on both trips when I went to Africa previously. Very cool, funny guy for the most part. But what I noticed even when I was younger, adolescent, is that he was a drunk. Nowadays, supposedly, he has sobered up, and he is a part of the church and doing his own ministry. He even, when I first started American Heritage Society, gave me a message because I found out that day via my maternal mother figure, the Aries, that not only is he a man of God, obviously with the genetics that we have, he knows how to prophesy. He can prophesy. He told me that I was gonna do a curse from my heart and I should do it, and I didn't know how to take that because growing up, I grew up even in prophetic churches, in church, Christian. I didn't know anything growing up about curses and divination and spiritual work and nothing like that. So it was surprising to me that he would say something like that to me. Almost to hey, our family kind of knows some shit in regards to that. It's alright if you do it. So I was kind of like, it was confusing at first, but now I know what I know now. It's like, there's certain things my mother figure didn't tell me that she was taught in regards to spell work and spirituality that my maternal mother figure family knows about and possibly does. Now, besides my mother, the Aries, she had and has 2 other sister siblings. Now, the one I perceived to be the oldest was her sister named Chi Chi. Didn't get to meet Chi Chi. Chi Chi had died during childbirth under mysterious circumstances. If you listen to the previous message I did, I have another message, but there was a message where I talked about how um, there's something about that correlation in my mother that's very significant because my mother had a best friend, that non-relative that died under mysterious circumstances of childbirth, and my aunt that deceased was, I'm not even going to be funny, no favoritism, I never met her before, was the prettiest out of all three female siblings, including my mother. And in regards to my upbringing and how I was raised by my mother, real talk, I'm in all like in full confidence. Like I always knew my mother to be very jealous of me in regards of appearance and looks and beauty. So I always kind of side-eyed that mysterious circumstance, and then seeing other scenarios of people who came in contact with a friend of my mother and what happened to them. I would kind of side-eye like what happened to my auntie Chi. Confirmation. So, and then you want to know something weird? You want to know something weird? My aunt that passed away named Auntie Chi, the child that she gave birth to and she mysteriously died during childbirth, her child's name, first of all, her child and my Aquarius sister sibling are the same age and have the same name. And then my aunt, non-relative, that was my mother's best friend, who died under the same mysterious circumstances in the U.S., who died during childbirth, gave birth to a child with the same name as my sibling and supposedly my cousin. That's not weird? You don't think there's no correlation there? It's one thing if it was just my relative, but a non-relative, somebody just being friends with you, die under mysterious circumstances? Someone you look to as like a sister? Now, my maternal mother, Aries, has another sister who is alive though, the youngest of those sisters. Now, mind you, mentioning, I believe that the deceased sister, the prettiest one, who died under mysterious circumstances, was the eldest sister sibling. Isn't it ironic, but that my Aries mother superseded her only because she died? So like I was saying about that youngest sister sibling that my mother has, that woman was in my mother, let's be for real, let's put all the facts out there. My mother helped mediate her previous marriage while not being in Africa, mind you, from all the way from America. Would tell her, yeah, date this guy, do this guy, marry this guy. My mother's youngest sibling, she was trying to play matchmaker with. That man was beating her. That man stole her car.
Sorry.
That's fine. You don't got nothing to do with you.
Time for I go back.
Alright, not because you got school in the morning.
I know. I got gym again.
That's right. No. Because there's never no negativity with me in mind. Howsoever, that youngest sister sibling that my mother played matchmaker for, that marriage didn't work out for her. And even when she was telling, because there's a theme to this message, God forbid on my life. When my aunt was calling my maternal mother figure Aries, crying, telling her the man was beating her, telling her that the man stole the car, it's almost like that my mother was taking it as a joke. My mother also told that same woman, stay in your marriage while she was getting beat on and abused. Just if you want to know the kind of mindset my maternal mother figure, the Aries, has. There have been scenarios, I'm not going to disclose the information, where abuse in regards to me and or my siblings previously within relationships, my mother is said to tolerate. And I almost was baffled, and angry, and obviously not in agreement with this. Now, me, in all honesty, in regards of physical abuse, not sexual, because that's a whole nother scenario. In regards of physical abuse, I do not. Is a zero tolerance policy. Also for sexual abuse. Howsoever, I've never been really, besides only one altercation, but it got handled. Because I don't play that. Like I ain't gonna hold you. I'm all for stand your ground. I ain't about to hold. I'm one of those. I'm not a violent person. Peacefulness is attracted to me. If you try to bring violence to me, I have the option whether or not I want to stand my ground, depending on where I'm at. So I'm not surprised in regards to my mother and her own beliefs. So my aunt is no longer in a marriage. My aunt has never had kids. My aunt is a Libra. God made it apparent. Now, all right, since well, as soon as I said my aunt was a Libra, my stomach just tried to have like a sharp pain. God forbid in my life. So now I know correlation that in my adolescence, when I was having these weird sharp pains, is correlation to my aunt. And I'm gonna tell you why. I did a previous message about it. I don't know if it's still up here, but I'll talk about it on this message so we can be clear, very transparent. Because there's no reason I should really even be coming on here and saying all this unless y'all not doing what the fuck y'all supposed to do as authoritative leaders and or parental figures and or just adults. When I was younger, my mother, the average all right, so if you're a minority, usually if you're within the United States of America, for whatever reason, minorities in other countries always think America. If you're as long as you're in America, you got more money. That somewhat is kind of true. Howsoever, it's just like it's a different thing. If you live in America, you know the exchange rate might be different. Howsoever, everybody's scenario is not the same. So a lot of minorities usually send money back home because they're asked, because they're perceived to be making more money, have a better lifestyle. So being the eldest born, a lot of times my parental figures would have me do errands and do things from an adult perspective that they should have really been doing themselves. And one of the things that my maternal mother figure used to have me do, or she felt though she was training me up to do, is sending money to. I'm smelling smoke and fire, and it's not coming from me. Now, the other day I went to church. I had, as soon as I walked outside to get in my car, the whole outside smelled like smoke and fire. Now, if you know anything about Africa, as soon as you get off the plane, it's very humid. It's just like almost like smoky smell. And then when I got to church, the man of God mentioned something about, he used an example of a woman who basically home caught on fire, and it was an interesting story to me because he was talking about my Leo zodiac sister sibling actually had went to that home the day that the fire had happened, but the woman wasn't at her home. Oh, and then when I heard that, I immediately I just kind of got up. I went outside. When I went outside, there was literally a fire truck 2 or 3 buildings away from where the church was at, putting out a fire. And I was just like, I know, because in that moment when I heard that, I'm like, my mother did some shit. Because my mother liked to play with that candle magic shit. That's my mother go to every time. She always want to play with some fucking fire. My mother has literally almost previously burned down the house twice. God forbid, not while I'm here. Not while I'm here. My mother blew up the stove. My mother set the stove on fire 2 separate times because she playing around with that candle fucking magic. I'm telling you. Now, do I have the gift to do candle magic? Yes, but just being around her, I don't even want to see what the fuck happened because I know how I get down. I ain't trying to start no fire. I'm not saying what happened to my mother's gonna happen to me because I'm a completely different person with completely different gifts. I'm just saying, candle magic, and went home. I'm just not going for it. And plus, God showed me you don't even need the fucking candle magic. That's basically like basic training. That's like 101. I can say some shit and a fire will start in my enemy's home. I'm not even fucking playing. I live here, God. I live here, God. No fire in this home. Unless it's the Holy Ghost fire. Now, why did I just was like, ooh, why is that so interesting? Because, like I was saying, my mother played with that candle magic. And that correlates to that fire in my sister's sibling. Because I know my mother was doing candle magic in regards to my sister, amongst other things, in my findings. Getting on this spiritual journey, I learned so much about my mother figure that I didn't know growing up. And things just started to make sense. And I was just like, wow, you really ain't shit in regards to the spiritual connotation. Now, one of the reasons my mother was jealous and envious of me growing up was because she perceived that the gifts that she was supposed to inherit got passed down to me. But God don't just skip people in regards to spiritual inheritance, especially with the prominent zodiac signs I have that she also has. If you're doing the right thing in your destiny and calling. My mother decided not to be in her destiny and calling. That's why her life is the way it is. It is what it is. I decided to answer the call. God's call on my life and destiny. And that's why I continue to progress and accept. And God makes things easy for me all the time. Now, why is this interesting? So, remember that Scorpio I was talking about, my maternal mother figure, the Aries, called a witch. So, the second time we went to Africa, my mother didn't come with us the first time we went to Africa. The second time we went to Africa, she came with us. When we was about to travel back home to America, we were in the hotel. We were in a hotel. I believe it was my uncle's hotel. And my aunt, the Scorpio, her sister came to visit my mother. I didn't even know my mother was cool with the aunt that she was calling a witch sister. When the aunt came, my aunt, the Scorpio aunt's sister came, she had burn marks all over her body. And obviously as a child, being ignorant, well, I was like a teenager, pre-teenager at the time. I asked, like, why she looked like that. She was like, she was in a house fire. And I always wondered what caused that house fire, like spiritually, possibly with that candle work. Because when we was in that hotel, they were sitting in that bed. And if you know in regards to spirituality, hotel, bed, sex, magic, but all glory be to God. Even if somebody wanted to get back to her brother, that's the main reason why she wanted to keep the siblings close, even though they want to branch out and do their own thing. And because she know the minute we would leave the household and leave her to herself with her candle magic, I don't know what the fuck would happen. It literally the children is the ones that have been trying to protect this mother, not necessarily me, but household. I live here, so even if it's gonna happen while I'm in this building, I ain't about to eat the whole job. Alright. Let me see what happened in my notes. Evangelist Victor gives everything back. Libra's sister, sibling, my mother has no rights to our compound and possessions because that's what she necessarily wants. She's kind of ratty, like a daisy, don't want to do nothing. She's very spoiled in behavior. She's the type that asks for money, don't want it to work. She's that type. Something about Aquarius, this Uncle Victor, I wrote Pentecostal Church. It's about a sorcerer. Virgo, very significant. Oh, that's what I was about to say. So upbringing when my mother was trying to train me, as a child into a teenager, my mother would have me send money to my aunt on various occasions. And what I learned by sending money to my aunt is that my aunt, at some point in time, decided to have an English name, something they wouldn't do while living in Africa, not necessarily. My aunt decided to take the English name of my name and have me send money to her using my name. And my mother would have me try to send money to her using my name. Basically, they were doing like a strategic divination where my aunt, the Libra, would use my English name, and then my mother would have me go send money to her on her behalf, almost like giving my inheritance to her sister. I ain't consent to that shit. And that was before the age of accountability, so that shit was null and void. I did a message about it. I don't know if I kept it up. If I did, I probably had it. What's the word? This is unlisted. So like, if it's still up, I'm gonna unlist it and put it public. So y'all know I'm not tripping. I did a message like a year, 2 years ago. No, 2 years ago. Because I was like, that shit's still not cool. I don't know why the bitch. I'm sorry, I gotta say it like this because bitch, you're not me. You're not Jessica. God did not give you that name. Your parents didn't give you that name. So me even knowing that y'all try to hoodwink me with that whole divination before the age of accountability is null and void. Regardless of female or male, you inherit your father's genetics. Because of my birth chart, I have more say so even in my mother's marriage than she does. So it's like null and void. So I call back all my energy and all my heritage from my aunt and Kiru, who's a Libra. Period. Alright, so the eldest son financially provided for the family. So like my Cancer zodiac embodiment uncle is the one who's financially providing for all his siblings. And ironically, he had moved from Nigeria to America with his wife, living in the same home that we live in. Now, the thing about my uncle is that they didn't tell me until like year 2022 or 2023 that he had cancer. And he had prevailed against cancer twice. And it was interesting to me that the person that they would go to financially, arrogantly, had became so sick like that, knowing the spiritual background we have in our family. Now, I ain't gonna hold you, my uncle ain't do some pretty nice things in his life. But I looked at it from a scenario of, in regards to the siblings and the maternal side of the family of my mother, they were doing some not so good things also. And I felt as though, in my own perception, that a way of God taking for them was to make him, my uncle, sick, or even somebody within that family, was to make my uncle sick, because they wanted the inheritance. They wanted my uncle's inheritance. They wanted the Cancer zodiac sign inheritance, the one that was financially taking care of the family. And a way for God to not do that was to make him sick where he wasn't able to work and make money. And also, in regards to whatever he did in his life that wasn't so good. Because when he was sick, everybody was like, oh my gosh, I feel bad. It's not there. I ain't going to hold you. I did not feel bad. And it wasn't even because I know my uncle's a colorist. He made some very derogatory statements towards me growing up. And I never, looked at him any different because of it. I kind of side-eyed him like, oh, you're a colorist. But, I know my mother to be a colorist and a racist. So it's just, something that was, a social norm within the family, but I don't prescribe to that. So, I just found it interesting that it's so interesting because they wanted, whomever out of the siblings wanted to use my uncle, the Cancer zodiac sun sign embodiment, to take money and inheritance for him and cause him sickness or cause him death so that they can inherit it. But not only did he beat the cancer 2 times, because he had got sick, he's not able to make his quota of money that he was estimated to make. So then he can't even give them the money no ways. there is a God. There is a God, because like there's no way you do something maliciously evil to somebody and you want from them message. There is no way you want to do something malicious or evil to somebody because you want to inherit or you want finances or money from them, and you think you're going to receive it. Like it don't work like that. God got an interesting sense of humor. So no stop going to the message. Blue channel message. Someone made a verbal and or legal contract between two men. Now there's something about marital affairs and business and siblings, in laws. That godfather of mine, that uncle, the one named Michael, um, somebody from my mother's side of the family, siblings, wanted to steal his joy. They did some sort of divination attack on his life. That's why he that first marriage didn't work out. That's why that previous ex-wife of his took the kids and ran off. And that's why he lost his company to and did not pass it down to any relative because they wanted to steal his joy, and he literally had to start his whole life over. And you know what's the most ironic thing? The man who took inheritance, non-relative of my uncle and godfather of that chicken farm, that person's eldest son, who I grew up with in adolescence, is a Virgo and the eldest son. So that has something to do with that Uncle Victor being the Evangelist. God said in my notes that same Uncle Victor wishes he was the eldest son and had the gift of prediction and wants to be an authoritative leader and or celebrity for the looks, and that he is very vain. Someone could have went into because what I was talking to God about in regards to this, it's like there's nothing wrong with men wanting to be of the church, having or gaining gifts in regards to spirituality. The thing is, for this generation, from my maternal mother's side of the family, the gifts are already predisposed. Howsoever, because of genetics, generally, you receive your father's genetics, more so your mother's. Now, women are different because women can inherit both genetics. Not that male or female can't inherit both, but predisposed, coming from a woman to a woman, you inherit the female genetics also with the father genetics, while the male also receives just the male genetics and can be predisposed to the mother genetics, but more likely the males will just inherit the male genetics. I hope that makes sense to you guys. It makes sense to me. It's literal science. So, speaking of this false elder sibling, so like there's something about how this, because I had a dream. I'm not gonna go into it. I had a dream. I've never read a whole bunch of times, but I said I seen my Aquarius sister sibling on the ground, something relative to Ifa worship, Santa Ria. There's a man holding a gun, knife, staff, pole. I went to go look up that for Uncle Victor on Facebook. He was holding the pole. He had the Pope-looking hat with the cross symbol on it. I was like, oh, that's from the dream. Gun in regards to the dream state is authority, abusing authority, knife. He didn't stab someone in the back. He did it, and this person knew that this person did something wrong to them. To be continued. Not for me, but to see the good results in regards to everything I'm saying. Now, to end this message, because there was a lot of facts. So, real interesting. For a moment, let me talk about something. Rest in peace, my granny. She got hit with a bazooka. Every time I think of her, I always hit the hookah. Kaboom, kablam, kaboom. So I was talking about my ex lover on the previous part of the message. Now, one of the thing iconic, I don't want to say iconic, but one of the prominent things about this ex is he has a real good love for the shoe of Timberland. That's a shoe of choice and preference. I knew it was my maternal father figure, my biological father figure. Let me say that. Got a pair of Tim's out doing some sort of divination, whatever the case may be. So it even goes into like they have prominent placements also, but that will never be my husband. Also, I was talking about the previous week or so. I kept having dreams about this ex lover. I kept having, yeah.
It's my bedtime.
All right, go ahead, take a nap. It's fine. I was talking about this ex lover, right? But the whole thing is that I didn't want to see him in the dream state because it's unwarranted. I also noticed early on in doing like the 2D catcher message that sometimes when I would see my ex in the dream state, it wasn't really my ex, it would be like my father or another Pisces placement. So that's weird. But anywho's, use context. Now, not to put you on blast, but if I speak about it. So, last Saturday, the same day they go to that hoodoo voodoo false prophetess bitch chocolate. That morning, I saw my father, and he was in his robe, probably making coffee or some shit. I don't know. For a moment, I didn't want to say shit to him. I don't got no problem with my father, but I also love him. My father actually a blessing in my life, honestly. Because if I was just raised by my mother, God knows what I would have turned out to be, honestly. God only knows. Like, if I was raised by my mother solely, I'd probably be a terrible person. I ain't about to even hold you. Now, real talk, like, in all honesty. Now, I saw him, I ain't really want to say anything to him. I knew what day it was. I knew he was about to go see that witch bitch in the what's that shit? Friday the 13th woods and shit. Anywho's, so I told him good morning. He said good morning. I turned around. Then my heart was like, oh. It's like I had just ate some shrimp or something like that. If you know spiritual divination, you know what that's correlating to. But anyway, I ate some shrimp right before, and I was throwing away the plate before I had said good morning to him and stuff like that. I turned around, my heart, it was like, ugh. Now my mother had always said something to me in adolescence. I already narrated what kind of privilege this is, but also my mother used to always tell me when I was a child, not to say or do certain things because I would give my father a heart attack. And being an Aries environment, knowing what your spiritual gift was supposed to be, like, I don't fear it now because it's just like her spiritual gifts have been revoked a long time ago. So like I'll put grain of salt to that shit. Don't look back. But howsoever, when I said good morning to him, as soon as I turned around, my heart, it felt like something about a heart attack. Like I'm fairly young. I don't have no stress in my life. And it was like hurt. It was like hurting. It was like clenching up and all type of stuff. I'm like, what is this? So I'm like, somebody doing. And mind you, I made this message, like I said, on December 27, 2025. So I knew there was the reversal was going back in regards to the message I'm doing today because I already pre-wrote it and stuff like that, and it's already the year 2026. I even told God my enemy was not supposed to live past January 1st of 2026. So if my enemy, in regards to anybody mentioned, God's incorrect, has surpassed January 1st, 2026, they will not pass January 31st. They don't want me to say it correctly. So let me say it verbatim. If anybody I have messaged up, somebody messaged, The only person I message via anybody I mentioned just here is my aunt, who's a Libra in here. Now, if my enemy is mentioned anywhere in this message, and they have lived past January 1st, you will not live past January 30 or 31st. Now, I was you know what? I'm gonna save that channel message for another day in regards to the X and everything like that. All I'm gonna say is, my mother does not drive. The Aries embodiment, she doesn't drive. The Scorpio, in-law doesn't drive. When I was younger, my father owned a red Mercedes. My mother's in the kitchen. Something just exploded, and she just screamed. You might not have been able to hear it. It was very faint, but as soon as I just said that. So yes, because I'm not sure. My father owned a red Mercedes in the United States of America when I was younger. I remember he drove me 2 different places in the Mercedes that were very unforgettable. The first place he drove me to was to the place that had my birthday party when I was 1 year old. And some way, somehow, we knew people who lived in a very large mansion with acres of land. And that's where I had my pool party first birthday. Why did I have a pool party for my first birthday party? Anyway, many people came. It was a celebration. Great. He took me there He took me there when I was older in age. And I will never forget the weirdest thing. I've talked about it before. The weirdest thing, I guess the aunt, whomever, I don't really know how she related to us, who lived in that mansion with her kids. By that time, I didn't even know who the kids were. He invited me over there. I didn't really speak to the kids, nothing. It was just this weird scenario. And they had like I wouldn't say like a private meeting, but like they had like this secret meeting, but like while the kids was in the room, and it was at morning time when they were supposed to be eating breakfast. And I just remember hearing the kettle. So I'm like, all right, maybe she's about to make tea or something like that. So I remember hearing the kettle, but I seen all the children with bowls of cereal in front of them. It was Cheerios, and literally, that woman who in the mansion that we had went to where I had my first birthday party had turned the kettle off, took that boiling hot water and put it in all the kids' Cheerio bowls. And I found that so weird because like who eats Cheerios with hot water? Literally right after that, because I remember certain things. Right after that, I don't know who it was, but right after that experience, somebody in the family had died. So it's always been this weird thing about Cheerios. That might be some sort of divination. I don't know. Try it at your own risk. Now, the second place my father took me in that red Mercedes previously in my adolescence was to now Evangelist place of work and business. That place now is foreclosed because that woman that Evangelist is working in the business and ministry. Howsoever, he took me to that place. My mother actually used to work at, not at that particular location. My father took me there. And they had a private meeting. Another private meeting, different location, different person. Now, the sister sibling of that Evangelist is somebody known to do witchcraft. And it's a very apparent in their life now as to why they're going through like really bad shit. But howsoever, the Evangelist, the sister sibling of the woman who was doing witchcraft, worked there and was, for the most part, a very delightful person. Someone I spend time with on certain vacations. Actually, a very caring and peaceful person. Actually means well for the most part. Might not some way know how to talk to people, but that's the same way with my Scorpio aunt. She might be a little nicer though than my Scorpio aunt, but I don't know. So my father had took me there to when I was younger to that place of business. It was a daycare. They had that private meeting. When we left from that private meeting, I can never forget this shit because I slammed my hand. I don't remember what hand it was, but it was really awkward. I slammed my hand on the car door, and it hurt so bad. And when I was younger, it used to be these weird occurrences where like it'd be like these awkward freak accidents that would happen. Like not nothing extreme, but these awkward freak accidents that would happen, and I never understood why it'd be happening. I used to sit on my food. I used to run into walls. I used to fall down and upstairs in my adolescence. I used to slam my hand in the car door. It used to be these weird ass experiences that I could not explain, but I knew spiritually it was something weird going on, but I didn't know what it was to like pinpoint it. Now, currently, like I said, before we had traveled to Africa the first time in my adolescence, that same car was shipped to Africa. This nowadays, that car is still owned by my father. However, he had gifted it to my aunt, the Libra, to be driving around. That color is the color red of that vehicle. The same color embodiment of my mother, the zodiac embodiment of Aries. So I don't know if my mother sister want her husband. I don't know if she just want to get shit from financially from these people. I don't really know. I don't really care. But what we do know is the facts that I've stated. Is there anything else we gotta talk about? Thank you, God, for this message. Thank you, God, for the blessing bestowed upon my life. And thank you, God, for the good results I received in regards to this message. Any projection of witchcraft trying to be used to destroy me will destroy my enemies. Let them be exposed and catch fire and die. Any money being used to try to destroy me will destroy my enemies, and let them be exposed and catch fire and die. In the mighty name of Jesus, in the mighty name of God, I pray. Amen. That is the message.